makes a great library today is a library now that is, the model has shifted away from that of a traditional focus on books to that of people. It's very much about their interaction of people and the users and the access to technology.
So the use of a library these days is a lot more about collaboration and accessing information in many different ways. So the key element for the building was to provide a lot of different spaces, a lot of flexible spaces where students could come, they could get a book, or they could go into a meeting space or have an informal collaborative environment to work with their colleagues.
The big challenges for this library were to create an area which would be particularly focused on people and the users and the access to the knowledge.
So when the visitor comes to the library off the main walkway, they enter through quite a compressed space with the building hanging over. It accentuates the height of the atrium once they enter, and it also focuses them onto the book stack, which is the heart of the library. The books are very important here, and even with changing technology and access to digital information, the books were seen as being the key feature of the building.
The response from the students has been amazing. We've literally had thousands through in the short amount of time that we've been open. There was points during the period where there was actually not a spare seat in the whole building, and the students are absolutely loving it. They're particularly liking the study spaces, it's particularly liking the open double height ceilings and being able to configure the furniture and move it around.
Between the reading rooms and the book stacks themselves is an atrium space. And the atrium space allows the group reading areas to be daylit from two sides, and as well as it allows the stack to be daylit. So the atrium itself is not only a device which is used primarily for lighting, but it's also a circulation area which allows for people that are entering the building for the first time or for frequent users to have a much more legible approach to how they circulate through the building, and for them to be able to navigate and work out where the reading areas are, where the open meeting rooms are, where the closed meeting room areas are, as well as the book stacks.
My favourite part of this building is actually standing on the bottom floor and being able to look up, and you get that sense of scale. You get to see that there's a collection, you get to see that there are services, and in fact it's really interesting because the bottom floor has no traditional library things in it, but you still get that sense of library. So, and just looking up at the elevators is amazing.
Well, the wonderful thing about the book stacks is that they can only go so high. So what we've been able to achieve is for every 2 levels of book stacks, we've been able to achieve 1 reading level. So in effect, we're getting a double volume space, which makes it so much more comfortable to work in, and certainly more spatial. In this particular building, we chose to move away from the conventional red brick, which is being used throughout the campus, to a series of bricks to create a mottling effect. The other thing we've done with the brick here is, because of the forecourt space to the building, as an inflection in the facade, we've treated the brick as a cladding material. Now, conventionally, the brick material itself is in actual fact load bearing and not a cladding material. So as we move around the building, it's very evident that the brick material never ever actually grounds itself or hits the ground. It is always floating, and behind the brick material itself is the supporting structure, which in actual fact is concrete.
Technology in libraries is actually really important. Being able to access technology and for it to be sort of seamless and not overpower what traditionally is a library, which would be our collections and our services, is a balance that's really hard to achieve, and I think this building actually does that quite well.
Furniture and fittings in a library environment need to be extremely durable and also perform the function that they're needed for. We chose a lot of different pieces that were able to allow students to modify their own environment, but also stand up to a lot of hardware. So there are a number of fixed pieces and joinery elements for fixed work, such as computer stations, but we also have primarily flexible and modular pieces that can be moved around by students to, for example, pull into a group to have a small discussion, or to move somewhere else to have a quiet moment by themselves.
There are a lot of advantages of having one practice to both the building and the fit out inside. What we find with this building particularly is that it's all quite cohesive. So the lighting and the furniture is all sort of part of, I guess, one story that you're telling, and that actually works quite well.
We work in a very collaborative studio environment, so there's never really a distinction between the two. We like to interweave the creative process collaboratively. A number of the key architectural interior pieces, such as the stairs and the balustrades, and sort of ceiling and lighting treatment, were all dealt with collaboratively by the interiors and architectural team, and it certainly maintains the design intent.
Our peers within the university and within the industry actually really like the building, because it's not, it's actually still in essence a library. It still has the collections, it still has the spaces, but it isn't sort of overpowered by technology, it isn't overpowered by funky design for the sake of having it.